Hey, welcome back to Filament Talk here on the Filaments.ca YouTube channel. This is our live stream that we have every couple of weeks on a Wednesday night at about 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock in Mountain, and 5 o'clock in BC. So, my name is Richard. If you haven't been here before, I'm a product specialist here at Filaments.ca, and my job is to play with new materials and talk to you about filament and help you through any of the problems that you may be having with filament that you purchase from Filaments.ca. I see we've got a few people watching this evening. Thank you very much. First and foremost, let me get into a couple of things. And I just want to bring that down a little bit so it's not so loud. There we go. Tonight we're going to be talking about how to store your filament. If you're like me, you've got tons and tons and tons of filament on shelves, in totes, hanging around by your printer, underneath your printer table, wherever it may be. You're going to have a lot. So what I typically do, and we were recently asked this question about filament storage solutions, and the simplest one I can give you is this right here. It is just a simple Ziploc bag. Now this one's pretty used, but it does the trick. You want to get a good quality bag, pop your filament in there, boom, stick this little thing in. These little silica gel packets, let me see if I can get that nice and close. These little silica gel packets that say do not eat, don't eat them. Throw them inside your bag with your filament, and then just start to zip it up, and then leave a little bit at the end so that you can try and get as much air out of there as possible. Once you do, go ahead and finish the zip up. Then you can throw this on your shelf in your standard filament box that you have, or wherever you like. Ziploc bags aren't that expensive. I would get a good quality Ziploc bag if I was going to bag my stuff in Ziplocs. But those silica gels, it's very important that you get one with every roll of filament that you buy. So keep them. Sometimes you get two. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're little. Keep these because they're very important to help keep the moisture out of your filament. And by bagging it up, this is the simplest way to do it. Just bag it up and away you go. If you're a little frugal and you've got yourself one of those food sealers, you can take food sealer bags or even the bags that your filament comes in, and you can reseal them if you're careful when you cut them off. If there's enough room, you can reseal them in that if you like. It's a bit of a hassle sometimes because these can be a little bit larger than the filament sealer is capable of handling, unless you got one of those nice extra large ones. But at the same token, this is probably the easiest way. Now, one of the ways I like to do it, and I'm just going to sneak over to this shot right here, is I like to use one of these Sterilite liter clear gasket boxes. These things are amazing. This little gasket that you see here, this blue gasket, this thing keeps air out from your filament. So what I do typically is I will take all of my little desiccant packs, these little guys, and I will throw them into my tub like this. And I have a couple of tubs like this that are full of filament. So I will take it and I will throw it in a tub, and I'll just leave it there, and I'll throw filament in there. It doesn't matter what manufacturer you're using, just throw your filament or your stuff in there. And you know, it's such an easy thing to do. It's just getting us into the habit of doing it. Now, there are good bins around, like these ones will stack. You can get them in a variety of different sizes as well. This is the 19-liter one, so it's kind of small. It'll hold, 4 or 5, maybe a half a dozen rolls of filament. But I get mine from Walmart. You can buy them online. You can buy them just about anywhere, but Walmart seems to be the easiest place to get them. That being said, like I said, you can see they come in a variety of different things. I really like these because of that seal. It really does seal down nice. You can see here that there's you can put your dog food in them. It'll keep it fresh. And then you can see the dimensions of this particular one, which is 10 inches high. So you're going to get about a half a dozen, maybe a few more in there of this size. And they're convenient. You can store them underneath your table or whatever. But this is the one that I personally recommend if you've got lots of filament like I do. And I've been 3D printing for 7 years now, and I'm continually 3D printing. We've got an episode coming up next week on recycled PETG. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that, walking you through how to get the best print from recycled PETG so that your print looks something like this. And we'll be talking about the importance of temperature towers and how to do them right as well, using recycled PETG from Filaments.ca. But getting back to what we're talking about here, let's just cut over to this. Maybe I didn't show you guys this. Let's go. There we go. So these are the totes that I was talking about. If you've got any questions, please, by all means, put them in the chat this evening, and I'm happy to answer your questions. So this tote here, as I was saying earlier, forgot to show it. That's what I get for doing that. One-man show. You can forget to do things. So what this does is, like you can see, there's a blue seal here. It really keeps that air out. You can put your dog food into it. You can store a variety of other things. And this one, like I said, this 19-liter one will take about a half a dozen, maybe a few more rolls of filament. It keeps it nice and fresh, and it keeps it nice and secure for you as well. These side handles right here that lock the lid on, they really, really lock the lid on, and I'm a big fan of those. So I recommend those highly. Now, another one that you can have a look at are these Spartan Ziploc bags. Let me see if I can get back to that one. There we go. The Spartan Ziploc bags are an industrial bag off of Amazon. If you're a Amazon Plus or Amazon Express or whatever it is, you can get these shipped to your door. Right now, fastest shipping is October 7th. They're $28. They're made by Spartan Industrial. They're 12 inches by 15 inches. You get 100. They're 2 mil clear reclosable Ziploc plastic bags. You can use these. They're okay to use. They'll hold water. They keep moisture out. Again, they're not quite as locked down as the ones that you can get from Ziploc. These are a little bit more expensive, but they're very easy to find. You can find them in any grocery store around the world usually. But these are a nice alternative. If you want 100 of them for 28 bucks, it's a good way to go. The other one I'm going to highly recommend is our reusable filament storage bags with desking. So if you, for some reason, threw these out, and I don't recommend that you do, but if for some reason you threw these out, then you can get desiccant with a 10-pack for $6. Have it shipped right to your door. They're 13 inches wide by 15 inches high, so they'll hold a nice roll of filament. I think they can hold up to 2 kilogram rolls, if I'm not mistaken. You get a 5-gram desiccant pack included inside each bag. They're perfect for filament storage. They're airtight seal, and they're made for clean food approved material. So they're food safe as well. So if you're storing your filaments, and I recommend that you do store your filaments in something when you're not using them. I right now have 1, 2, 3, 4 rolls of filament, 5 rolls of filament on my desk right now behind me. There's probably another 4 or 5 sitting there that are not in bags because I've been switching things in and out recently. But if you're just doing a project and then you're going ahead and taking it off and not going to print for a few days or a week or whatever, take that filament off. Don't let it sit in that open air. It doesn't matter if it's PETG, PLA, ABS. Get into the habit of storing your filaments in a proper container. They're going to last longer. They're going to perform better when you take them out and try and use them later on down the road as well. When you leave filament out, depending on the part of the country that you're in, this is our blue-gray from Filaments.ca. This is the Econofil PLA. Now, PLA, not quite as hydroscopic as, say, PETG or nylon or some of those types of filaments, but this does get moisture in from the air. And like I said, depending on the part of the country that you're in, if you're in more humid parts of the country like Ontario, Manitoba, East Coast, West Coast, Saskatchewan, Alberta, not so much. Manitoba's kind of dry as well, but Ontario and further east, you have more moisture in your air. So you'll find it's a lot more humid in the summer and that sort of thing. And that humidity can get into your filaments. And when that happens, you end up with a lot of different problems. And that's why storage is so very important, because when you end up in that area where you've got this moisture issue in the air and it's impregnating into your filaments, you then have to dry them out. We talked about drying it out in a previous live stream where we used the EBOS Cyclops filament dryer. Now, I use that very rarely because I'm in much more of a drier climate here in Alberta, but in Ontario and BC and places like that, Nova Scotia and New Brunswick and places of that type of atmosphere, you will get moisture into your filaments, and it's going to get in there fairly fast. So my recommendation is, once you open your filament, if you're not going to use it right away and you're just going to let it sit on your printer, take it off your printer, unload it from your printer, and put it into a bag with that desiccant. And the reusable bags here from Filaments.ca are a great way to do that. And for longer storage, I recommend going to the Sterilite clear sealed containers if you want to build up that sort of thing. And I really wish that you would take this to heart and have a look at it. And that's really what I wanted to cover tonight in terms of filament storage. Somebody asked in a comment from a recent video if we could cover storage solutions. So this is the best way to store your filaments. Always bag them. And if you don't have bags, but you've got these Sterilite containers, then bags are always a definite plus. They're easy to get. Walmart has these Sterilite containers. I like them. I use them. Once I discovered them a few years ago, I always keep a lookout for them. You can buy them in 4-packs. You can buy them in singles. It all depends on how much filament you have. And I have tons of filament around this house from different manufacturers, from different brands that I've collected over the years. And the worst offenders are PLA, PETG, nylon. These are the worst offenders for getting in moisture from the air and then getting impregnated with that moisture. And you'll notice that you've got moisture in your stuff when it turns out that you're hearing sizzling or popping, or you're getting a lot of stringing that you didn't normally get before when you first started printing with the material. That's a good sign that you have moisture in your filament. And the best way to get rid of that is to dry it out with some sort of either commercial dryer, a dehydrator, in the oven, if you understand how to do it in the oven. My recommendation for people is to get yourself either a dehydrator, they're pretty inexpensive on Amazon, or get a commercially available unit like the ones that we have over at Filaments.ca. They really can help you, and they can save you money in the long run. And that's what really we're all about, is wanting to save money at the end of the day, we all want to save a couple of bucks. So I would recommend that you go ahead and get yourself a filament dryer, something to keep your filament dry. Bag it up right away after you've dried it, unless you're going to use it right away, and then go ahead and put it aside until you're ready to use it another time. So let's talk about why we get stringing a little bit. I want to cover that a little bit tonight as well. We've got about 15 minutes left. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat tonight, or you can leave me a question after this live stream is over. We usually do about a half-hour live stream here. We're still trying to build up. If you are new, I would really like you to subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notified whenever we do a live stream. We're not quite at that 1,000 subscriber hit yet here over on Filaments.ca. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you did, and that'll help us get noticed by other people as well, and we can tell them about the products that we have and help them with the problems that they may be having with the products. If you have any issues with products that you have from Filaments.ca, you can always, where is it? Why is it not? That's not it. Come on. Why is it not coming up? It just does not want to come up. You can send me an email to richard@filaments.ca. Hey, evening, there's DeWitt. Come on, why are you not coming up? I've been having so many problems with my lower thirds tonight. I don't know why it's happening. That one we don't need. That one just fades to black. And that's our subscribe again. What the heck? All right, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to worry about it. In any case, let's talk a little bit about stringing. Why do we get stringing? Stringing happens for several reasons. And one of the things that I've always recommended, and I continue to recommend people do, is this little guy right here. It's called a temperature tower. And I've had quite a few calls this week and last week about people not being able to print with a product. And when the first question I always ask, and if you've ever put anything into our comment section, or you've put a question forward to us, why am I getting stringing? Could be a couple of reasons. One, you may have moisture in your filament. If it's a brand new roll, chances are very low that you have moisture in your filament, unless you have nylon, because we can't get all the moisture out of it from the manufacturing. So you may have to put that into a dryer before using it, and we do recommend that you do that. PETG, for the most part, should be fine. If for any reason you get a baggie or a box with filament in it and it is not sealed properly, like you see air in there, inspect the bag. Make sure that the bag doesn't have any droplets in it, or that you can see any kind of moisture in the bag. If you do see that moisture in the bag, there's a couple of things that you can do. If you don't want to contact our service department to get you a reimbursement or get you a replacement, you can always just put that into your filament dryer or whatever method that you use to dry out your filament, and you can go ahead and just dry it out based on the manufacturer's recommendations. With nylon, you're going to dry it at about 65 degrees for about 2 hours. PLA, on the other hand, you're going to do it for 5 hours at about 50 degrees Celsius, and that will take that moisture out. Then you can go ahead and start using it. You can actually start using it directly from your filament dryer if you have the right type of unit. So those are a couple of things that that I would look at if I were in your shoes. Now, why do we get stringing? What's the other thing that causes stringing? Well, stringing can also be caused by over temperature. So you're using too much heat. You don't have enough retraction. There's a lot of little things that go into that. Surprisingly enough, and I found this to be true as of late, if you haven't updated your slicer in a while, that can cause issues with your filament. And I don't know why it does it. I haven't figured out why it becomes such an issue, but it does become an issue. And once I've updated to the latest version, it seems to go away. I use many different slicers here. I use Prusa Slicer, I use Cura, I use a couple of others as well. One of the ones I've been using lately and I've been recommending is matter control. And that's how I do all of my temperature towers. I do them in matter control now because it's just so easy. And I'm going to do an episode on that coming up very soon on how to do a temperature tower in matter control and in Cura. So you guys will be able to see that in an upcoming episode. DeWitt, he says, my FL Sun SR strings badly only on PETG. PETG is prone to stringing. You're never going to get rid of all of the stringing. First and foremost, like I said, I recommend that you do one of these, which is a temperature tower. By doing a temperature tower, it's going to show you how much stringing you have. You can adjust your retraction up or down. You're also going to want to maybe adjust your speed, depending on the printer that you have. I know I print right in that 40 to 50 millimeters per second. That seems to be the sweet spot for the printers that I have here in my home lab. And with that being said, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could certainly go faster on some of them, but if I do, it tends to string more. And this one is a really good example because this one was printed on the Prusa Mark III. This is a net cup for a hydroponics tower. And there is very, very little, if any, stringing on this. And this was made with the recycled PETG that we sell at Filaments.ca. I've also done these net cups also in the regular standard PETG, and they're very strong, as you can see. Yes, you can break them. They are very thin-walled, so if you put too much pressure on them, you will crush them. But for all intent and purposes, this is going to work out just fine. And there's nice big holes in there, and you'd be able to see the stringing, and you'd be able to see the stringing across here. Minor stringing can be something that you're not going to avoid. Like even in this temperature tower, there is minor stringing. It's not huge, but you can take care of that by using something like a little torch, a lighter, a heat gun, even a blow dryer set on the highest temperature will allow you to get rid of those minor strings. So like anything else, you're going to have a little bit of post-processing to do if you've got some stringing. Now with the FL Sun SR, it could be retraction and it could be temperature. And those are the two things that I would certainly take a look at. Currently is by looking at those two things, I think you're going to be in a much better position to diagnose what's going on with your printer. We're going to talk about diagnosing problems with your printer in upcoming episodes. If you've got any questions, again, you can send them to me, Richard at Filaments.ca. I think that you'd be remiss not to do that. Let's see if I can get that to come up. Nope. I guess it's not going to come up. Okay. But yeah, you can send them to me, Richard at Filaments.ca, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. They come directly to me. They don't go anywhere else in the company first. They come directly to me, so I can answer those questions on our next live stream, which will be in 2 weeks' time. Coming up on next Friday, we're going to be talking about recycled PLA or PETG, pardon me. And then we've got an episode coming up on a brand new product. It's called Regen. Regen is a bioplastic that is great, prints just like PLA, and I'll be showing you the results of that as well coming up in an episode in about 4 weeks' time. So We're trying to do more shorts. If you've got any questions or you've got any ideas of something that you'd like to see on our live stream, or something you'd like me to cover on the live stream or cover on an upcoming episode, then by all means, please let me know, and I will do my best to try and cover that topic for you. We have a variety of different printers. I know some people are into resin, and we're getting into that time of year where it's Halloween now that we're in October. So people are going to be printing things for Halloween. They're going to be printing things for Thanksgiving here in Canada and in the US, and as well as you're starting to do your Christmas gifts. So we're going to talk about some filaments coming up as well that might suit your needs for some of that. And I don't really have much of a Halloween episode this year for you, but until we do, we got to build up our subscribers. So please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and we will try and cover as much as we can. I really want you to ask more and more questions each and every week. We're going to keep doing this. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers here on the Filaments.ca channel, we can go ahead and start scheduling our live streams. So you'll get notified much easier if you're a subscriber and you've ringed that bell to get notified when we've got a new episode coming out. And we are trying to up our production value for you and give you the best information that we can from Filaments.ca. My name is Richard. I'm a product specialist. And until I see you next time, happy printing.